Hello, we're here to talk about benchmarks. TIS is divided into multiple stages of learning, ranging from emerging, beginning, developing, refining, and all the way up to applying. Today we're talking about applying stage. All our benchmarks are divided into 3 sections: reading, writing, and math, and students need to show proficiency in each of these sections. I'm Sylvia Kruger, the principal of the Intergenerational School.
And I'm Theresa Teets, the assistant principal of the Intergenerational School.
The first section we're going to talk about is reading comprehension. There are actually 4 different ways students can show proficiency on this benchmark. The first way is through a computer test, and it's a nationally normed test. It's called the NWEA MAP. A lot of students do it. Over 2,000 students do it across the United States every year. And what we want students to do is generally be at the 50th percentile or higher to show proficiency. And what that means is, of all the students that took this test at your child's age, 50% of them scored this number. And so we just want them to be in the middle or above the middle of the pack. So the benchmark requirement for that, for the end of applying stage, is 2200. So if they score that, that means they show that means they show proficiency. Students are having fun outside at recess, and we think that's important. Students should be outside every single day. So for reading, some students can score that in their first year of applying stage. That's awesome. And then they'll just go up from there, because another thing that high schools are looking for in applying stage is growth. They always want to see the trajectory going up. So even though students may meet this in their first year of applying stage, they shouldn't relax. They got to keep going and keeping their trajectory to go up. The next thing for reading is guided reading level. You're probably used to them, especially if you're a TIS lifer. They've had this all the way from A level, and now they're finally at the end at Z. A lot of students come into applying stage at Z level. Once they hit that, we do not assess them again. But if they don't, we do assess them, and those are done on a one-on-one basis, and they're oral, and they have to read a text. We gauge their fluency, their accuracy, and also their comprehension of the story. The next section is based on their 7th grade Ohio State test, and for their ELA assessment, they need to score accelerated or advanced. And then finally, they have a way to show reading comprehension, and that's through writing. Students answer a prompt, and they do this throughout the year, collect a portfolio of writing, and their portfolio should indicate a level of proficiency, and the students need to score a minimum of 6 out of 10 on their writing for literature response. So of all those 4 things, just a reminder, students only need to show proficiency in 3 of them.
The next section is writing, and students must meet 2 of 4 pieces of writing. The first one is an argumentative piece where they have to score 6 out of 10. The next one is an informative or explanatory piece where they have to score also 6 out of 10. And the last one is a narrative where they have to score 6 out of 10. Those are the writing pieces. And then the last piece is the Ohio 7th grade ELA assessment. So they need to meet 2 of those 4 to meet the writing benchmark.
And I just want to point out that the Common Core is really stressing the nonfiction writing. So that's the argument and informative. And on the state test, they actually don't assess them on narrative at all. There is no creative writing assessed. So at TIS, we also concentrate on the nonfiction, and that's the argument and informative. So most of your children's writing in their portfolios will have that sort of pieces and not the creative side.
The third section of benchmarks that applying stage students must meet are math. There are 4 ways that they can meet those, and they only have to meet 2 of them. The first one is NWEA MAP, just like they had to do in reading, and the score that they have to meet is 2300. For the next one, they have to take the Ohio 7th grade math assessment, and they have to score accelerated or advanced on that. The third way they can meet their math benchmark is through Khan Academy, level 8, and they have to meet 80%. And the last one is an end of stage test, which we take from Common Core, which they also have to meet 80%. And again, there are 4 ways to do it. They only have to meet 2 of those 4.
So I just want to show an example of that. So For reading, you can see that this student scored 235, and we just add a 0 to it. So they met the requirement for the reading section of the applying stage assessment. And their math score is 225, and this student did not quite meet it yet. But on the MAP score, you will also see a projected growth. So by the end of the year, this student is projected to hit a 230, and that is enough to meet one of the requirements for math. And so we'll give you this piece of paper so you can see where your child is. You should have received their last year's grade GLE 7 scores if your child's in GLE 7. If your child is a GLE 7 this year, you will get these scores at the beginning of next year. So this student in reading scored a 728, and it actually points to the place where they scored accelerated, and that means they met this requirement. If they scored proficient or lower, they did not meet this requirement. And in math, we have a student here who scored in the advanced section. So once again, that is enough to meet the benchmark requirement for math, one of them. Another thing that the child has to do is two more things. They have to say a senior speech, and that's delivered to the school community. So it could be in a community meeting in front of the whole school, or just for a couple of stages. Usually we get the refining and applying stage together, and then they deliver their speech there. And community service hours. So they have 2 years to garner 50 points, and that's just things they do around the community. They could be helping, they could be reading. It's a variety of jobs that we feel that helps build community, and we ask the students to do it, and that's how they earn their community service points. And through all of that, that means they met the applying stage benchmarks, and they're ready, and we feel they have a strong foundation to be successful in high school. That said, in applying stage, by the end, in your last year, you will know whether your child needs an extra year, and usually we do that at a much younger age. So I don't think we've ever had a chance, Ms. Tietz and I have been here since the second year of school, where a student needed to repeat an extra year in GLE 8. They move on to high school, and they're ready to start their next adventure.
Okay, so that concludes our benchmark summary for the applying stage. If you have any questions, you can Jupiter message myself or Ms. Kruger, or send us an email through our TIS email. Thank you.